Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK.
Well, we had to go first this week. We're
Oh,
recording extra episodes, so
that's
normally
right.
record the opposite, but it's fine.
Yeah.
How are you? How was your Thanksgiving?
I am my Thanksgiving. Well, which one? I had three Thanksgivings.
All of the above.
Um, so my first Thanksgiving was with my family. We went out to a restaurant. It was very lovely. My great aunt, the 80-year-old nun, met Dan for the first time and is absolutely obsessed with him.
Oh,
Um,
she's a
and the bit
non-Catholic at tracks.
It's a cat, right? And the Bills won, right, when we sat down for lunch, so like or
I
dinner or
was
whatever.
very confused. They started much earlier than I anticipated.
Yeah. It was a 12:30 game,
Yeah.
which was well, it was Thanksgiving, so that's how that goes. And then from there, Dan and I went to his dad's house. So I had two Thanksgivings on Thanksgiving. Um, but we It was just Dan and his siblings and his dad and me. And we watched Charlie Brown Thanksgiving and we
Oh,
played apples to apples and I had my first ever slice of pecan pie.
look at you.
Oh,
What do
man,
you think?
it was really good.
Yeah, I used to not like pecans, so I haven't had it.
Mm.
But it's my dad's favorite, one of my dad's favorite pies.
Yeah, I was like, Dan was like, yeah, my dad makes homemade pumpkin pie and homemade pecan pie. And I was like, I don't eat either of those. He was like, what do you mean? I go, well, I hate pumpkin.
I love pumpkin pie.
And I was like,
Love
he
pie.
was like, but you like nuts. I was like, yeah. I mean, I guess I was like, okay, I will try it so that your dad doesn't think I'm a fucking psycho.
Great choice.
But then I liked it. And so then after we knew it was safe, Dan announced to everyone that I had never had pecan pie before.
I
And
love
then,
it.
and then Friday, we did Thanksgiving with his mom's side of the family. And that was an adventure. Because
Like a good adventure.
well, it was a good adventure, but like an adventure because like the oven broke.
Oh,
So
Thanksgiving?
yeah,
That's when you
so
need it the most.
exactly. But so and we had like I think what 24-pound turkey. So his mom was literally cooking a turkey at his sister's apartment, which is down the street, from her house, and like panicking about not having turkey and like apologizing to everyone like a million times. And then she ended up burning her hand on something because she was so stressed about the turkey.
That's
And
hard.
and it was just like everyone was like having so much energy and like or like weird energy and then like his aunt was sick and this is now the fifth event that I was supposed to meet his aunt that she hasn't come to because she's been sick and I was like or I've been at work and I go so
Not meant to be.
basically she's allergic to me is what you're saying.
Yes.
To which his cousins were all like no she wants to meet you so bad like don't say that. I go I get it, I get it, it's fine, fine.
The word. No offense taken.
No, I'm cool. I'm cool. There's a lot of people who are allergic to me.
Me included.
Um,
I'm just kidding. That's why we have to record from across the state.
yes. Yeah, that one time we were recorded together, never
Whew,
again.
rough time.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good. Um, it's insane though. Like I know that turkey makes you tired, but three turkey dinners in 2 days, I want to sleep for the rest of my life. Like I'm still tired from it.
I don't believe that. Yeah.
How was your Thanksgiving? Because it was a very different experience than mine.
It was very unconventional, but it was fine. I woke up and I was gonna go to the parade because the best day highlight of my life is the parade. And I felt like I was dying. I just didn't feel good. I didn't sleep well. And I was like, you know what? I don't have anywhere to be till 5. I'm going back to sleep. So I slept until like 2:30. Slept
Nice.
all day. So which is why I was scared when the Bills game was on whenever I was waking up. I was like, what is happening? It's like this isn't meant to happen yet. I wasn't ready.
I
It's
wasn't
okay.
ready.
That was the only thing I hadn't fixed for my fantasy, and I already had Josh Allen in, so it didn't matter. Um, but yeah, so then I worked and they fed us a turkey dinner, which was mostly nice, a little dry. I mean,
Mm,
it's turkey though. So, um, and then I got home and my lemons that I'm sure I've mentioned before, less lately, but I used to mention them a lot more. The lemons group that I met through, and that's why we drink internet. And we did a little Zoom call, and
cute.
I was half asleep, and I Noelle convinced me to get on anyways, and I just played my little Disney game while I chatted with everyone. It was actually quite nice, surprisingly,
Yeah.
for such like a weird Thanksgiving. I like
Yeah.
talked to my parents for like 20 minutes that day. Like it was just very strange, but it was nice. And I met John O'Hurley. The
I met him before.
He's so nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was him at first. He was at the bar. And I just sat them down and was just like giving them drinks. I'm like so oblivious to like what's around me sometimes. I just go to autopilot.
Yeah.
And this was like Tuesday before Thanksgiving, so I was like tired already. And I went to put the drinks in, and Brian just goes, Mr. Peterson. And he just kept saying Mr. Peterson to me. And I was like, what is happening? Why are we having this guy? What is going on right now? And he was like, Mr. Peterson from Seinfeld. And I was like,
Mm,
oh, also the dog show.
yes.
But yes, so he was very nice. He was there with like I assume his wife and other man and wife.
Nice.
But yeah, so it was fine. It was fine. Just chill. Not a lot
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
You know what else is pretty chill?
Listen.
Spirituality. Not the people outside my door, let me tell you that, because I
No,
don't know if you can hear them.
I cannot.
They are causing a ruckus and driving me crazy.
Oh
New
boy.
people who have moved in and they are loud.
Um,
Anyways, that is my complaint for the day.
it's okay. Even though we just said that our spirituality is chill, my spirituality cards are never chill.
Great.
So,
Excellent.
but today the message is get your shit together and go for a walk.
That's what I want to tell the people outside my door. That's what I think they should be told, and not
Perfect.
to like stomp up the stairs every day. But yes, also it is nice. That is what I did today. I was not feeling well at work, and I ordered my lunch, and I just went for a little walk and got my lunch, and I felt like a bit better. 10%,
Good.
I'll say.
10%. That's something.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm like 75% better now, maybe 80. So I'm like
Oh,
really
lovely.
thriving. Um, Other things that are thriving or are something is
Something.
Bates Motel. This was a really short intro, so you're welcome, everyone, in case you
Yeah,
want to talk to us, because I don't know, I didn't have a lot to say.
it's totally
Um,
fine.
yeah, so this is Bates Motel, in case you didn't know what you were here for. Season 4, episode 5, called Refraction, which is like apt, very apt title.
I don't I don't even remember this episode. Like I know as soon as I start looking at my notes, I will remember the episode, but like I don't know if that's an apt title because I don't know what
It's
happened.
about a window that refracts light.
Oh. Okay, yeah, no.
Yes. That is the description of this episode. Window that refracts light. Very interesting. So it aired April 11th, 2016. It was rated 8.2 out of 10. Which is fine. I have no problems there. The number one song was Still Work by Rihanna. However, the
Okay.
number one movie is The Jungle Book. I assume it was the live action one because it
It
was 2000.
sure was because that kid who was in the live action Jungle Book came to do press for the movie at Animal Kingdom while he worked there, and
Oh,
he was a fucking shithead.
Oh, I don't feel bad about not watching the movie then.
Yeah, no. The movie was pretty good, but
Yeah.
he was not a good
Well,
person.
I'm not watching your movie then, you stupid
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Um, and the number one book, which I'm sure was actually very good, but I have not read it, is Fool Me Once by Harlan Coben.
I have not read it either.
Yeah, and for those of you not familiar with Harlan Coben, if you watched a thriller on Netflix in the past year and a half, it was probably written by him. I think there were like five that just got added to Netflix that he wrote the book for. So I haven't watched them yet, but they're very popular. People really like him in the thriller world. Um, on this day, only bad things happened.
Oh,
Um,
good.
so I just didn't want to talk about those. So I talked about the one, we'll say, good thing that happened. The CIA has announced on this day that they will never waterboard again when questioning
Okay.
people. As a reminder, it is indeed 2016, and it's like I guess better late than never, but maybe a little late still for that announcement. Maybe we should have stopped that a little bit earlier, but it's fine.
Maybe.
It's
Just,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, we do have a new director for this episode. However, she is not new to Bates. Her name is Sarah Boyd. She has been an editor on like five of the episodes we've seen. So she's already
Okay.
been real entrenched. She's
All
known
right.
for a lot of big things. She's known for All Mankind, The Boys, This Is Us, and she acted in an 80s movie called Old Enough when she was a kid.
Okay.
Um, she doesn't really done much acting since then. It seems that she's mostly just directing. But I mean, she's directing a lot of stuff, and she was nominated for an Emmy for her work editing Lost.
Interesting.
So she's got some good good stuff behind her. I can't think of the word I was looking for, but yeah, good credits, I guess. Um, no new writers, nothing new there. I know that's shocking. Um, and because we didn't really have a lot of new people, I'm gonna talk about Alessandro Giuliani,
Okay.
who was the interviewer at the manufacturer that Dylan interviewed at.
I love it.
He has a lot of big credits, and I do not know who he is. I mean, I know the things he's been in, just I haven't seen them all. So he's known for Man of Steel, War for the Planet Apes, Chaos Theory, and The Watchmen.
Okay.
Um, he is the only person he's one of the only people to reprise their role multiple times. The role he had on Man of Steel is also the same role he had multiple times in the Smallville show. Everyone else was like one-off characters. So good for him. And yes.
Sorry. I was listening that whole time, but I was also trying to figure out timelines on things.
Mhm.
Because this is, I think, the first one that of our episodes that's in April of 2016, not March.
Yes.
So this is the first episode that has aired since Caitlin moved in my 2016 lifetime. So
Oh,
that's why I was like double checking because she moved in on the 6th of April into the apartment. So
oh, welcome, Caitlin, to the
This is the
scene.
first Bates episode since I was in the sphere of your life.
Oh, this is when we first almost came together. I love it. Um, well, don't worry, because everything still comes back to MacGyver. Alessandro Giuliani was in MacGyver with Richard Dean Anderson,
Perfect.
and he was in an episode of SG1 Mobius Part 1,
We have not watched that yet.
and you were very frozen.
Ah, well, I'm not anymore. Well, you're not anymore, which probably means that
Okay.
I'm not. I don't know.
You're
I'm
only a
having
little frozen. Okay.
I'm having internet issues, but also the recording's on my end, so who knows how it's gonna turn out.
Right. Did you hear me?
I heard you. Yeah.
Excellent. Then that's all that matters. That means everyone else also will have heard me. You're
Perfect.
welcome, everyone. So we can't get enough of our crossovers between Bates Motel and Stargate SG-1.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that episode. It said it came out in 97, but then it said it came out in 2005. So it was a
Well, no,
very,
it's because the show came out in 97, but that episode came out in 2005, which means that's not till season 9 or 8 or 9.
so we're going to remember this guy 9 seasons from now, seven
We're
seasons
not.
from now, one
We're
season.
not. We're not.
Absolutely, we will. Just wait
Okay.
for it.
I don't
Okay.
even I barely remember him, and I watched this episode yesterday.
Look, this is the one thing I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. I will forget everything else I've ever known. This guy, Alessandro Giuliani,
Good.
stuck in my
Fantastic.
head forever. The one thing I know him for. Um, so are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Well, we'll see if I am. Let's go. I watched this episode yesterday, and I've had a lifetime since then. So if
Same.
something gets left out, please let me know. So we start with a recap. Um, just of what happened in the last episode. Nothing new.
Yep.
But it did make me wonder, does Norma still not know that Alex and Norma are married? That eventually gets answered, but correct, he does not know.
He does not know now.
So we start at the Bates home, and they are cleaning up their mess. And I think I predicted last week that it was Rebecca.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was Rebecca, but I still thought that'd be in this episode. Um, and then I also realized there's so many things that like we know that I forget the characters don't know.
Right.
Like Norma knows nothing of what's going on outside in the world. And then like Norma doesn't know Bob Paris is dead.
Yeah.
Like it's so many things keep coming up. I'm like, oh yeah, you don't know that. I know that. But that's
Yes.
fine.
That's called dramatic irony.
Love it. One of my faves. Yeah, so she's asking about if it was Bob Paris. She thinks it was, and he's like, absolutely not. She's like, well, how do you know? And he's like, absolutely not. Well, yeah, you killed him. That's how you know. Fine.
Right.
But
She was like, I don't know. She was like, if it's not Bob, I don't know what it is because I haven't gotten into any more trouble. I've been too busy marrying you.
right. She's like, I just don't know what I've done. And he's like, well, first of all, it's absolutely all my fault. All
Yeah.
of this is because of me. He's like, but that's all you need to know. And so she gets in her car to go drive, and the song is like so fitting, like in a not fun way, I guess.
Yeah.
Not fun for a normal way. Because she's being followed, and it's like you see her, she's so happy, and it's like a bit of a happier song, but like the lyrics are really like not happy. I think they were sketchy. I meant to look up the actual like lyrics of them, but I think it was called How Long,
Something.
and it was just real sketch. And she's once she learned that her favorite window had been broken out, so she's going to the hardware store to replace it. And we learn right before the credits that Chick is following her because Chick
Well,
is
when I first saw the car, I was like, who the fuck is that?
right. Like, who do we think is going to follow her? I was like, maybe Rebecca, but like, she doesn't feel like she's the type to follow someone, you know?
Well, not only did she not feel like she was the type to follow him, that car did not scream Rebecca.
Right. No.
Like that car was clearly like a fucked up, beat up car, and I was like, who the fuck is
Yeah.
this? And then when we're in the hardware store and we see that it's Chick, I was like, no, what the hell, Chick? Just stay away from her.
Just mind your business. Go about. Everything's over. You're done. Dylan's moving on. So he's not in your area of business anymore. Norma's
It's
not
like,
involved. Let it go.
just let it go.
Because
Although the reason he doesn't let it go, or at least the reason he's saying he isn't letting it go, that he says later, were facts that I don't know if they're true, and I also didn't know that they haven't. We'll get there. We'll get there.
we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah. So then we have our like 2.5 second credits,
Mhm.
and we go to Norman. And he last time we saw him was at the end of the episode. He was in the car with Dr. Edwards, and he was
Hmm.
saying he was medicine, he knows he needed help, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so when we start with him, he's discussing his blackouts very rationally. It's like night and day, literally, between like
Hmm.
how rational he's being and how accepting he's being of what he knows is wrong. And so he's asking about like his childhood. He's like, we've never really talked about your childhood. Tell me more. And he starts talking about his mother, and he was like, we just have a typical relationship. And I was like, you absolutely do not have a typical
Yeah,
relationship.
I literally wrote nothing about your relationship is typical. Not
Absolutely
not
not.
not one bit of it.
And our good doctor, Edwards,
Yeah.
he sees right through everything. He's like, why do you say it's typical? Why is that like necessary for you to say
He was like,
typical?
well, and this man, I am now officially a simp for Dr. Edwards
I love him so much.
because he immediately is like, is that important to you? Feeling
Yeah.
normal? And I was like, yes. And he was like, not really. I go, no, literally, it's the most fucking important thing in your whole life is to look and feel normal.
It's literally the only thing that you're like worried about.
Um, Norman creeps me out when he starts sounding like a 90-year-old man. Like
Yes.
his it's funny because I get mad when people's vocabulary makes them seem stupid, but Norman's vocabulary like makes me uncomfortable all
Well,
of
it's
the
also
time.
the idea of like, well, yes, all the time, no matter what he's doing, makes it ill. But also it's that thing of like when kids have trauma, they like end up aging faster.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like I don't know if this is just me reading into it, but it feels like maybe that's what's happening is like he's had to grow up so fast, but he's also very unstable. So he's not done it in a healthy way, but he's got all of the like growing up he was supposed to do with like his wording of things.
Yeah.
But no, I very much agree. Um, and Dr. Edwards is like, but he's getting to the real questions because he's asking him about all of his childhood and asking him about like him and Norma. And Norman's like, oh, she leaned on me. And it's like, no, you're a child. That's not
Right.
how that goes. And but you can also see, which was a good Freddie Highmore in these episodes specifically, like these newer episodes, his demeanor
Hmm.
blows me away because like when
Yeah.
he talks, the more he talks about people treating Norma badly, the more upset he gets. And you can like visually see him change.
Right.
And before anything else changes, we go to Dylan and Emma. And they are just precious. They are too
The first thing
precious.
I have to say about that is that I'm actually obsessed with the Dakota house. Not just the people, but like the
Oh,
Dakota house because it looks like people live there.
it looks like I would live there.
No, it looks like people live there. Like so
Oh,
many fucking houses on TV,
yeah.
like no one lives there. And like their house, it's not messy, but it's like cluttered and full of things and like clearly lived in. And that makes
I
me
would
happy.
also live in the house though. I
Well,
like it.
yeah.
I meant to look it up because it kind of looks familiar and I don't know why, but then I forgot until just now when you said that. So I obviously did not look it
Yeah.
up. But yeah, so Dylan is taking Emma home and from the hospital. And when she gets home, there's a for sale sign on her house, and it seems no one has told her that they're selling the house, which is fine, I guess. But they are moving to
No,
Seattle.
it wasn't that. It wasn't that it was shocking. I think it was just more of a like
It's real.
reality settling in kind of feeling because like which I totally get because like I was been so excited about moving and I'm in the new house, but like every time I walk into the old house and it's empty, there's just like a weird feeling in my gut
Yeah.
because I just lived there for so long and like they're moving to Seattle for her. Dylan's coming with her. Everything is great, but there's something about just like seeing that really it's real. They're selling the house. It's not like that chapter of my life is over. That is a big feeling.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But I mean, it's also good for Emma. She's getting a whole new fresh start. She has lungs, she can breathe. She's going to Seattle. It's going to be an escape from this life she's always kind of been trapped in. So, so then we go back to Norman, and he is very calmly again talking to Dr. Edwards, and he's like, "Do you think it's okay if I have a phone call to Emma?" And he's like, can I make a phone call? And he's like, oh, who are you calling? He's like, oh, my friend Emma. She just got a lung transplant. I just want to check in on her. And he's like, absolutely. Very rational request. Yes, you can call your friend. He's like, oh, great.
And I wrote, liar, liar, pants on fire.
Absolutely. Yes, he is such a liar. And he calls Norma instead, which is a little scary because he's getting better at manipulation than he used to be. Before he would have just thrown a fit about it.
Yeah.
But now he's like, knows what to say to get what he wants, which is not great when you're a psychopathic murderer, but
Correct.
that's fine.
It's great.
Yeah, and when he calls, he like leaves this like really like almost sweet voicemail for Norma. He's like, I'm so sorry, I'm getting help, blah, blah. I miss you so much. And I was like, this is almost uplifting if we don't know how it turns out.
Here's the thing, and I have this note a couple times in this episode. The worst thing about this episode is that no, not just this episode, but also some of the next one and some of the previous one. It almost feels like we're coming to a happy ending.
Yes.
And I get it that I also have the trepidation of knowing the movie Psycho, but like I almost wish that I didn't know that it's not possible for there to be a happy ending because
Yeah.
things are ramping up so much to a happy ending that when it all comes crashing down, because it will all come crashing down, I'm gonna be less devastated than I would have been if I didn't know that that's where I was headed.
See, while I definitely agree with that as like a concept, I
Yeah,
think the fact that they've given us so much more hope than we could have ever expected at
that's
this
true.
point also is going to make it really rough because that's the
Ugh,
point I came at it from. I think I made a note about that somewhere too. That like we've had so much happiness in the past like 3 or 4 episodes. Like there have been difficulties we've had. I mean, Norman is
yeah,
the character, so like there have been difficulties, things have gone wrong, but for the most part, they've all resolved themselves and they're all like coming to an ending that it's like there's no way this can go wrong. And even when you know like how bad things are going to get, seeing how good they get first, like I know that it's going to get worse than I even think it could. You know, like it's
yeah.
going to just like they're setting us up for so much more. Like I don't know. I'm expecting terrible things. Terrible things.
I mean, I genuinely expect no one to come out of the show alive except Norman.
Yes, yes. Yes. Me too. Um, yeah. I'm gonna guess he's the only one. Hopefully Dr. Edwards. He'll
Oh,
probably die next. But it's
probably.
fine.
I like him so much and in a non weirdly traumatically sexual way that he will be the next one to die. Like that's just
And like he's the only glue right now for Norman.
Mhm.
Like he's keeping him there and he's like not phased by
Yeah,
him. Like he doesn't just believe him.
right.
And I feel like other people will believe him because he does seem a little more rational. And so I feel like as soon as Dr. Edwards is out of the way, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah. And
So
it's like I'm like I love Alex, but also I'm logically aware that Alex is problematic.
right.
And it's like we love Dylan, but also like at the end of the day, Dylan has done some fucked up shit.
Yeah. Dylan's
Like
got a lot.
Like my mom, who does not watch the show with me, just occasionally catches whatever episode I'm watching, was like, literally yesterday I was watching the two episodes and she just goes, "Now who's the guy that he killed again?" And my dad goes, "Wait, he killed somebody?" Because the last time my mom really watched an episode with me was the episode he killed Nick.
Yeah.
And Dad was like, "Wait, no, he's a good guy. He killed somebody." And I was like, "Dad,
Well, he
nobody's a good."
also hit the guy with the truck in the very beginning.
Yeah, but neither of them saw that episode.
Mm, well,
But I was like,
that's
"Dad, no." I was like, "Dad, no one's a good guy on this show."
no one comes out unscathed except Dr. Edwards. Here's
Correct.
hoping.
Yeah.
And then we go back to my favorites, Emma and Dylan. And this is like a ridiculously like cute and weird scene. Like I loved it. And
It's funny because you said it was cute and weird, and I just wrote, "This is awkward as shit."
but no, but they're like young and they're like adorable and they're trying to like get their lives figured out. Neither of them really like knows what a healthy relationship is.
And she's
And
like, yeah, but she asked the doctor how long till she could have sex with him.
okay, well, we already know she's like sleeping with people. Like, so obviously that's one of her
I
questions.
know, but like, man, you just got a lung transplant. Sex is the first thing on your mind.
Yeah, no, that's it's incorrect, but she's young and
I
she
mean,
like older now.
would I also have asked the doctor that question? Probably.
Okay, but you and Emma are very different people.
I mean, I'm are very different people, and I'm like basically married.
Yes, yes.
They've been
I mean,
dating
look,
for
so are
what?
they.
Yeah, but they've been dating for 3 weeks and they're children and they're like basically married. And I think that's my actual problem here.
Look, I am grasping any ounce of happiness I can find. I want Dylan to do well and enjoy his life, and I want good things for Emma. And if it means that they can be together and they can run away to Seattle and everyone lives a happy ending, then great.
Okay, I'll let you have this moment because it's the last happy moment you'll ever have. Just kidding. But
No happiness ever again. But they're like going through, she's thinking about her lung machine and how she'll never have to use it again, and how she talks about how her scar is like essentially her new lung machine. It's like now a part of her, except something that she can't take off of her. And she's super self-conscious about it. And Dylan's really cute about it. And he's like, well, look at all my scars. It's just part of life.
that does not happen even remotely yet.
That doesn't happen yet.
No, that happens way closer to the end of the episode because
Oh,
I have a note about it like
forget
on the next page
everything.
of my notes.
Forget everything I just said.
Okay.
Erase. No, no,
No,
no.
he leaves the room and she goes to sleep and then he goes to talk to her dad. When he comes back is when the
That's
rest of
right.
that stuff happens.
That's right.
Yes,
Alleviate. No, no one remembers I said it.
correct.
Um, so we go back to Dr. Edwards, and he is talking to the sheriff. Again, I should have been more detailed in my notes. I was like, when was this? But
No,
he's
yeah.
talking to one, not
It's not the sheriff, obviously, because the sheriff is Alex, but he's
right,
talking to someone in the
officer.
police department.
And
Yeah.
he'd like run through and he's like checking to see if Norma could have potentially murdered any of these people. And he like goes through the list and he's like, no, he's like everything's accounted for. He's like, one person is missing, and it was Audrey Ducote's, what's her name? Emma's mom,
Audrey Ellis.
Ellis. And everyone else like has been accounted for as being killed
Like
by someone else
he was like somebody he was like Blair he was like Bradley was a suicide. Blair's murderer is already in jail. Like and Audrey has only been missing for a few days and but she's not even from here, so we don't really have anything out for her because she could have just gone back home. Like we don't,
Mhm.
it's not. But Dr. Edwards has definitely sketched out the fact that all the names match dead people who died violently. Like
Yes.
he definitely is like, I have concerns.
Right. I do not have concerns that it is Norma, but I do have concerns.
Yeah.
And totally fair. So, okay. So this is where we go to Dylan and Will. And
Yes.
they're chatting, and Will is trying to get him to stay for dinner, and he just, it's so nice. He likes Dylan so much. And he like almost feels like he's gonna be like, you can't go with us, you can't do this. And then he's like, great, here's a way to figure out your like set up your job and everything. And I was like, okay, you are in this relationship. You are ready for it to go.
Yes.
Like,
But also when he was like talking to him about how to like lie on your resume, I was like, I literally go, okay, well, no one checks references anymore. And this is purely because I was with Monica yesterday getting my hair done, and Monica was on the phone with one of her friends who has a crazy ex, who the crazy ex basically like stalked this girl and like got a job at her gym. But like she's trying to like figure out how to get him fired, not just because he's crazy and her ex, but because like they clearly didn't call his references because he's on like multiple no hire lists because of getting fired for like really fucked up reasons. So like if this place had called literally any reference or any past job, they wouldn't have hired him. And I was like, well, because nobody fucking checks your references. The only people who check your references when they say they're going to check your references are pet adoption agencies.
that's true. That's true. I've been contacted by a pet adoption
I
agency.
have been contacted by pet adoption agencies for friends' pets before.
Mhm.
I know for a fact pet adoption agencies check your references. Employers probably don't.
The first girl who kept Sadie here whenever I first moved into Brooklyn, she put me as her reference because she had just kept Sadie and I forgot her name. And they called me and they're like, do you know so and so? And I was like, I don't think so. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, I don't know who's calling. And then I like thought about it and I called them back and I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I did not recognize the last name because she was my dog sitter. I was like, so I just knew her by her first name. I was like, but she's
Yeah.
excellent. I was like, please give her a dog.
Yeah.
And but it was very funny. I did. I was just like, no, I don't know that person. Okay, bye. And then I was like, wait, wait, wait. I do know that person.
I'm kidding. I lied. I was testing you to see who you were.
Right. I texted her. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I didn't realize that was you who put me down for a reference, but I called them back and told them everything is fine.
See, when Teresa put me down as a reference for her dog, she like also texted me and was like, just so you know, I put you down as my reference for getting this dog. If they call you, please tell them that I should get a dog. Okay.
My friends just have like a blanket. Like my friends that I like have worked with just have like a blanket, like, hey, I'm gonna put you down if I ever need a reference. So like just tell them I'm fine. Okay.
Which is like fine, like you can blanket put me down as a reference, absolutely. But if you're gonna do that, give me a heads up that you did it just in case, because like I get a lot of spam phone calls and like stupid shit and like I don't
Right.
answer things. And also like I have over 7,000 unread emails, so if there's somebody who contacts through email, I probably am never going to see it. So like please always use me as a reference, but also tell me that you did.
Yeah. That's I was like, I would like my friend told me recently that she put me down as a reference, because she's applying for new jobs. And I was like, I will try my best to answer my phone. I was like, I can make no promises, but I will try my best. The only reason I was like available by email for my like as a work reference was because the guy that I interned had it sent to my work email. And
Yeah.
so I like saw it because I go through those emails daily.
Mhm. That's true. My work email has like 4 or 5 unread emails, and they're basically Google documents that students shared with me that I left unread on purpose so that I know that they're there when I go to grade them. My personal email,
Endless abyss. Endless abyss.
endless.
Yep. Same, same. My work email just has a lot of red flags. I was gone for a week and then I was gone for the holidays. I was like out for 2 days for the holidays. And I'm not even caught up from before I left for vacation. So I just have a ton of red flags. I'm like, I don't get there. Well, literally, our like UK office emailed me and she was like, I guess you're really busy, but I wanted to go ahead and send you this because I haven't responded to like any of her emails since I've been back. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm trying really hard. I responded to all of them today. So
Yeah,
she'll be thrilled in the morning when she gets to work and has like 1,000 messages for me.
fantastic.
Um,
Which is probably sooner rather than later based on what time it is now.
5 hours behind us, right? I mean,
Ahead.
ahead of us the other way.
Either 5 or
3
6.
a.m. I
Yeah.
think 3
Okay.
a.m. is her.
Okay.
Because every time I go to send her an email, it's like, do you want to send this at the time their work starts at 3 a.m.? I'm like, no, please send that now. It's like, I would like them to get it when they get there.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we are leaving our happy days of Dylan and all of the Dakotas and going to Norma. And this time it's not her fault.
Yeah.
Um, this is apparently her favorite mirror in the entire world. And so Chick stops by to offer up his stained glass services, which is not a thing I would have expected to see. Um,
Here's the
didn't
thing,
know.
though. This made me uncomfortable. Mm, Mostly because Chick should not have been there, but more uncomfortable because I believed him. Like,
Right?
because I don't think that the things that he was saying about making art and like how he feels about making art were untrue. Like, I think he had ulterior motive for
Right.
sure, but like, I don't think he was lying. He was
I
like, mostly I do ironwork, but like there's something about making art that is actually wanted and needed. And like, I love working with glass, but nobody wants glass. So like, I don't have a reason to do it. But now that I have a reason to do it, I will. And like, and I was like, I just feel like nothing he's saying is untrue.
Right. Like you're definitely saying how you feel about art, but also
Hmm.
you're doing it in a manipulative way. And that's not,
Exactly. Not cool, bro.
yeah. Yeah, so she just like lets him in because she's too trusting. After everything she's been through, you would think she would stop being so trusting. But no,
Right.
she's like, great, come inside. I've never met you before. You followed me here. Great. And you look like you just like got run over by a car. So you're the person I should let in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like this is a moment that like if literally anyone spoke to each other, it would clear everything up. Because like if she just mentioned to Dylan that she has this chick guy fixing her window, he'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, let me tell you all of the things that happened." Or if Dylan had been like, "Hey, I almost died this one time, so like watch out for this guy if he ever comes around." Like literally
Yeah.
so many ways this could have been fixed, but they just don't talk to each other about the things that are important. But anyways, he tells her the reason he's so messed up is because he flipped a car, which is believable based on how he looks.
Yep.
Um, and he's chatting about the window and he's telling her like he can do it, no problem. And then this last shot before it goes to the next scene was so like ominous, but not. It was so weird because the light hit in the window, refraction, and the way the light hit in the window kind of silhouetted them in like a way that was almost like everything's okay, but it went far enough back that you could see the darkness of the house and you could see like the taxidermied animals. And it's like, in theory, this should be what we're focusing on. This should be the good moment. Everything should be okay. He's not hurting anyone yet. Yet. But when you back up, it's like, but don't forget we're still in like worst case
Yeah.
scenario land. So
Absolutely.
I really liked that the way that scene was shot. Um, so this is Dylan's interview with Alessandro Giuliani, um,
Yes.
my new best friend. I'm gonna find him on the social media and he's gonna be like, this girl is insane. Um,
Probably.
it's fine, it's fine. Um, so he's
Um,
like doing his interview. Yes.
Speaking of finding people on social media, though, I thought it was really funny because there was on the post that Joel De La Fuente posted that shared that Hemlock Grove was getting caught back
Hmm.
up, and I said that I was sharing it on podcast. Joel liked the post about me sharing it on the podcast. So I went and I got a notification that Joel liked my comment. So I went and I looked at it, and the comment under mine was from Evan Klansky, who was one of the first writers on the show. And he wrote, like, and his comment just said, "Oh, love that show. Such great writing." And then, Holly, or David Paul Francis, whichever the
My
order of
bestie,
those,
my real bestie. Yeah.
your real bestie, like commented laughing and was like, yeah, man, gotta give it to those writers. And like it was just and then like Joel commented something stupid. And it was like a whole joke between all of these people. And I was
Oh,
like,
that's
and it
that's
was like, I can't believe that like I'm like close enough that I'm like reading this comment. Like this is ridiculous.
you are in the inner circle. I love it. I love it. Um, but
And
I do.
so, yeah, sorry, I was going back to, so
Oh,
Dylan is talking to this man now.
I love how Dylan handles this conversation. He is
Yes.
just straightforward. He's like, "Look, this is my resume," and he's like, "Well, how does this help you?" He's like, "It doesn't." He was like, I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm going to tell you that I ran a weed industry, that I started from the bottom and I had an office in like 2 months. I
Yeah.
ran the entire industry. I started my own. He's like, I just want you to know I'm capable of also handling this hops business.
And then this fucker goes, well, then why isn't it on your resume? Because it's fucking illegal, dude.
Right. And Dylan just looks at him and but he's like, it's not anything on the paper is going to tell you why I should be here.
Yeah.
It's kind of you feel it about a lot of resumes anyways.
Yeah.
Like I got a lot of stuff on my resume and it is not what's going to help
Right.
me.
But like, I feel the same way, like, nothing on my teaching resume can explain to you the passion I have for those children. Like, there's nothing that you're going to see in black and white that explains to you the connection I have with those kids.
Yep.
How can I do that?
And that's like me working like all of my stuff on my resume is not going to explain to you that I'm going to work really hard when I'm there, that I'm passionate, that I'm good with people, that I like
Yeah.
have the relate like I build relationships with people, which is necessary in our business. Like
Yeah.
those are all things that you just have to like meet people to find out. Like it's a
Hmm.
personality thing. It's not a resume thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I hate resumes. I hate applying for jobs. I just want everything to happen as it should.
Correct.
Like, so kudos to Dylan for his not terrible interview and to almost getting his job with benefits. Um, then we go to Alex and Rebecca. And the moment I was waiting for, I was like, is he gonna tell her about the DEA? Or is he gonna let her get caught? And he uh he tells her. He's like, BTW asked about this, they've asked about you. And she panics, of course, because
Of
she just does that.
course.
And then she starts
Um,
asking me about the yes.
she starts freaking out and she says that she doesn't want to go to prison. And I go, no one wants to go to prison, but they also don't launder $3 million.
Right, right. Yes, that's not like a normal thing people do. Um,
Correct.
but yeah, and she's asking him again about the money. And she's like pressing and pressing him, and he's just like, I don't have it. And I was like, he would probably have given it to her if she didn't act a fool. Like if she was just rationally trying to talk about it, he probably would have been just like, you know what? Yes, let's do this. Let's take care of it. Be on your way. Because he was
Mhm.
gonna let Bob Harris go until he decided to kill him. So like, if he would have let him go, he would have let her go. So then we go back to Norman, who is thrilled to see that Julian's back, except that he is hella dazed. He's not speaking. He is drugged up. He is very sedated, which is very sad. But he's also got a lot going on mentally.
Yeah.
So Norman goes outside to go for a walk. And Norma's like sneaking through the woods to get there. And I was like, I don't think that's allowed, Norma. I was like, pretty sure you have to like go through the
Oh,
front desk.
I immediately wrote, he's hallucinating. Like
That was my next.
it
Yep.
didn't, I without, and then like the whole conversation happens, and I just looked at my dad who doesn't watch the show, and I go, she wasn't there. Just in case you thought that that happened, it didn't. And he was like, what do you, he was like, why, are you sure? I go, oh, I'm sure. But like immediately I saw her and I go, she's not there. He's hallucinating. And then I was like, this question, and I was like, the show is making me question everything. Like, because then there were parts of the conversation that I was like, may, no, 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 not there, not there.
Yep, I went back and forth a bit at first because I was like, oh, Norma, because like also like Norma climbing through the bushes to see Norman is
For
something that would
sure.
happen.
And like the one, and the thing that she said that like was what he clung to when she was like, he's not there to make you feel worse, he's there to make you feel better. I go, that's literally not how therapy works.
Literally not how therapy works.
But also
And
like
like,
that, but then I also was like, but I'm sure Norma would actually say that.
right. And then when she was discouraging him about telling about his father, and I was like, that might be something she would say though. Like, I know she wants him to heal, but also she's always had him shy away from that kind of stuff. So
Right.
like, it was very strange. Like by the end, I was convinced that she wasn't there, but it did take me for a loop. Like I had to
Yes.
really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we do go to Real Norma, and Chick stops by while she's working on the motel, and he is so excited about this window. He's like, I have created a brand new window. It's gonna be a masterpiece. He didn't say it quite like that, but he was like, this is
Yeah.
gonna be gorgeous. I have a new idea. He's like, I can't wait to show you. And she's like, oh, great, no problem. She's excited. She's, whatever. He brings up Dylan and Caleb, and we learn about his ulterior motive. We knew she learns about his ulterior motives.
Yeah.
And I was unsure at first why he brought it up. So I was like, are you trying to like I thought he was trying to hurt her, but instead he's trying to hurt Caleb, so he's trying to build trust with her to go through her, I guess. And
Yeah.
I was like, why are you telling her? But I guess that's why. And he's also being like super cryptic about everything he's saying.
But he's also like very, he was like, oh, Caleb's your brother. And then I was like, fuck, because then I remembered that he knew that Caleb was
Dylan's
Dylan's
dad.
dad. But then because he also just like gets some type of way about it. And I was like, but you genuinely have no idea what you're doing. Like I know that you think that you're doing something, but you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. So we go to Norman, who is offering his advice to others. I don't remember who he was talking to now that I've written it down.
Oh, he was telling Dr. Edwards that he had a great day in group therapy this morning
Oh,
because
yeah.
he offered advice to someone and he just felt like he was making connections and it feels good to feel good
Yeah, I was like, I don't think you should be giving advice to anyone.
ever about
Yeah.
anything.
And then he starts talking about Norma coming by, and he's like, oh, and I was like, okay, well, at least he like talked about it. And
Mhm.
then he's like, yeah, that wasn't possible.
But no, he did it in the best way. Like I loved this because he said, um,
Was it possible your mother wasn't
he's
here?
he said, I'm gonna ask, can I ask you a question that might make you really uncomfortable? And he was like, okay. And he was like, is it possible that you didn't actually get a visit from your mom? And he's like, no. And he's like, okay, well, because she wasn't here.
Yeah, and he's like,
And
well, he's like, he was like, you monitor me. You can, he was like, somebody's got to see it. Everyone knows what's going on. Go check everything. And he's like, you are monitored. That's how we know she wasn't here. And then he's like, how dare you monitor me? And it's like,
yeah,
what, Norman? What do you think's happening?
no, but I think it was a really interesting moment because I think it's the first time, like, we know that Norman knows he blacks out. But that's the first time that Norman has a conscious understanding of the fact that not every conversation he's ever had with Normal was real.
Yes. And on that note, we get a very subtle but obvious, in my opinion, change into Norma. And this is the
Okay,
first time, yes,
I was gonna say it is subtle. It's obvious because we're now used to it, but it happens in such a subtle way. But I think the most important thing about it was how immediately Dr. Edwards caught on and started talking to her as Norma, or talking to him as Norma. I was like, I literally, my note says the fact that Dr. Edwards immediately caught on is why I simped for that man.
Yeah, and literally, this is the first time that someone has talked to Norman as Norma and not died. Because
Right?
the only other people who have seen him like that are the people he's killed.
The prostitute didn't die, but she also had no idea what was going on.
Right, right. So the only people that talked to him as Norma that knew he had like lost his mind, essentially.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, so then he starts he kind of like turns into like a seductress version of Norma, which is very uncomfy, but
Yes.
also very Norma.
Yes.
Like it totally makes sense that that's where he would go because that's where she always goes. And
Right.
he's just making me so icky when he's like, should I lie down? Should I do this? Should I do that? And Dr. Edwards is just so smart and he is just handling everything 100%. Like
Yeah.
the way it should be.
She's like, because Norman as Norma is like, if you want to know anything about Norman, you should go to the person who knows him the best. And Dr. Edwards is like, and that's you. Like he doesn't question it. He does
Right.
exactly what you're supposed to do with someone who is delusional and like accept their delusions enough to have a conversation with them.
Mm-hmm.
But ooh,
That's how you figure out how to remedy it.
yes.
Yep. And then we have a brief moment where we go to Alex, and Rebecca has drunkenly shown up at the sheriff's office. And poor Rebecca, she's like, you said you never would get married. You just didn't want to marry me. And I was like, totally get what you're saying. And that is very sad for you, but you can't do this. Like,
Oh no, I was mad at her, but also, she literally said I should have known that when a man says I never want to get married, he just means I never want to marry you. And I felt that so fucking strongly because I dated this guy, dated in quotations on and off for, oh God,
mhm.
8 years. And never once would he make a commitment to me. He just dated everyone else.
Yeah.
And I was like, great.
Mhm.
Should have known that when you said you'd be single forever, or that you didn't want to date again, you literally just meant you didn't want to date me. I should have got it. Great. So I felt, I don't trust Rebecca. I don't like Rebecca, but
Absolutely.
I kind of felt for her
Right.
in that
Well, it was one of
moment.
those moments where like we keep feeling bad for people that we also don't like on this show.
Yeah,
So we can still feel bad for her because it's
that's
still
true.
um and then this is where I was trying to talk about earlier with Dylan and Emma.
Yes.
And because he's telling her about the whole job thing, and he's like, I'm gonna have benefits, it's gonna be a really great gig. And she's like, congrats, I'm proud of you. And he's like, well, I don't have it yet. But like they're just like super chill, and then she's super upset about her scar. So Dylan starts showing all of his scars and like trying to make her
Okay.
feel better about it.
To be fair, I don't think she has any reason. I mean, I get it. I get her whole thought process. But also, when she started to lift up her shirt, for some reason I was expecting there to be a scar, but there wasn't. She still fully has staples in, and like not just a few, like she looks like fucking Frankenstein because there's
Right.
so many staples left in her chest. So how do you even know what your scar is gonna look like? That's
Absolutely.
that's a little soon to be jumping to I hate my scar conclusions. You don't have a scar yet. You still have staples.
You're basically an open wound at this point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But Dylan still tries to make her feel better, and he's like, "This one's from when I got hit by a car." And she's like, "Don't get hit by any more cars." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, we're gonna try like blanket statement. Please don't get hit by any more
Yeah.
cars."
Well, and then he's
But
like, well,
then he
she's
starts
like,
telling her about one of them, and he has the dumbest accent I have ever heard in my life,
okay,
which like is probably cutesy for them or whatever. But I was like, we cannot.
no, but when he makes that dumb accent, the scar that he is pointing to. She's like, what's that scar? Bitch, it's clearly an appendix scar. Like, I have never seen a scar that, like obvious. That was the most obvious appendix scar I've ever seen, and I thought it was stupid that they made a big deal out of it.
Well, they were both just kind of being dumb, but she thought it was cute, and that's fine. He was trying to make her feel better, so I guess he succeeded in his own strange
Yeah.
way. But if he never spoke in that accent again, it'd be okay. And this is also when they talked about that they have to wait 4 to 6 weeks. Oh no, I said you have to
Yeah.
wait 4 to 6 weeks because he like takes off his shirt and starts making out with her. And I was like, you still have to wait 4 to 6 weeks. I was like,
Right. Like the doctor's orders don't just change because you decided you're comfortable with your body.
right, like
That's not how that works.
no. Then we go to Norman and Alex. And Norma again is um playing the piano, which is when she's happy, she plays the piano.
Mhm.
And I forgot the name of the song. It's like Zing something or other.
A zing with the strings of my heart.
Yes, it was a very cute name. And she's telling him about the the window and everything. I'm so sorry. My brain just like shut off for a second.
All
She's
right.
telling him about the window and she hasn't told him it's Chick yet.
Yeah,
And
but I don't think that would even mean anything to him because Chick's not like he goes from up at the farm. He's not
right. So I
from
thought at this moment it would have meant something to him, but then later, obviously, it does not mean anything to him.
yeah.
Um,
No, but she's like playing the piano and he comes in and just like kind of watches her for a minute and she goes, "Why didn't you tell me you were here?" He goes, "I didn't want to like interrupt you. Like I wanted to listen." And I was like, "That's so fucking cute."
isn't it? So sweet, so sweet. Um, and then he's like, everything's fixed, and he won't tell her it's Rebecca, which like I get, but we're telling the truth now, guys. Like we're married now. I feel like we have to like lay it out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
But fine. And then he's he does tell her about, is this when he tells her about Bob Paris?
Yes, well, but by tell her,
She
he
says,
she was like, "Did you kill Bob?" And he just stops and she was like, "Why?" And he was like, I had no choice. And it's clear that he did it to protect her.
right. And she's like happy about it. And I was like, encouraging murder is bad, Norma. Like, we have to get away from this. Murder is not the answer. I know it seems to have been the answer a lot so far.
So far it is actually the only correct answer on the show.
Yeah. And but that's fine. So we leave them in their murder bliss and go back to Dr. Edwards and Norman, who is still at this moment Norma. And I don't want to mix up my episodes. I'm so sorry. We prepared ahead for 2 episodes. Now I feel like I'm.
And this
Is this
is
the one where he has the flashback? Or is that?
no. He's not Norma in this moment. They're outside
Oh,
his
okay. I know
room.
why I wrote that. They're outside his room, and he's like, "I've had a really bad headache," and he's like, "That's what happens when you black out." And he's like, "Oh," and for a minute, I was like, "Is he still Norma in this scene?" Because he had a weird look when Dr. Edwards walked away that was subtle, and I was like,
It was, and but I couldn't tell. Like I couldn't tell what it was
"Right,
exactly. Like it was weird and it was subtle, but it almost felt like he was just like happy to be having answers. Like I couldn't tell if it was like a genuine happy or a Norma happy. Like it was weird.
I know." So we leave him on this weird smile thing he has going on,
Yeah.
and go back to Norma, and she's just so happy about her marriage. And then Chick is back. And he tells her that he put together Caleb's story and how he
Well,
is.
okay, well first, before he does,
Mhm.
he says, I came here because I needed to talk to you because I felt like I was out of integrity with myself.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that is my new, that he said it was his mantra. And I go, that is also my new mantra. I will not do anything that makes me feel out of integrity with myself.
You're frozen again. We're so close to the end of this episode,
I
too.
know.
So close.
So close. I know you can't hear me, but I can hear you. I'm back, I think.
Yes, you're back. You're back.
Okay. I was like, I know you can't hear me, but I can hear you. I hate this.
Thank you.
I apologize because this episode's gonna be janky as shit.
We're trying our best.
But oh, so I was saying that's also gonna be my life mantra now.
That your integrity.
That I will never be out of integrity with myself.
Excellent. That's a great one to have.
I know,
I think
even though like he's not a very good person,
like that's a great
it's a
thing.
solid mantra.
Yeah. So while he's doing that, he's still talking about integrity the whole time. And he's like, I found out about who Caleb really is. Like, I need to know where he is and all this stuff. And he's like, don't you want to be have integrity with your person? And she's just like, stop, stop, stop. And he just starts like going off about it. And I was like, chick, you've crossed too many lines. Like, it's one thing to
Yes,
know about it, it's another thing to like push against someone's trauma.
yes, I agree. Absolutely. But then he says something, and in the scene, he says something that I don't think I knew before this episode, and I also don't even know if it's true, but it changed a lot of my opinion on the way he was acting about things. Because Chick tells her the reason he's so intent on finding Caleb is that Caleb took his wife and child.
Hmm.
And I was like, if he actually did, that's mad fucked up.
So I don't think that's what he was saying. I think he was saying that he took his ability to make money, and when he stopped making money, his wife and child left.
Oh, I
That's the way I understood it.
Oh, the way I understood it was that, like, straight up, Caleb took his wife and child.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think that was it. I think it was that he took his ability to work and do everything, and so he was losing his livelihood, and his wife and child just left.
Oh, see, I did not understand it that way at all.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. But yes, no, I would if Caleb had took his wife and child, I would also be less concerned about his hostility towards Norma right now.
Right.
And I mean, he was the result of them leaving, but I don't, it wasn't like a kidnapping
But
situation.
no, but he didn't. Though
Yeah, he
I don't
started
know.
it by saying, he did start it by saying that like he couldn't run a business or something, and so they left him.
Oh, I thought he literally, like, because he literally said, and he
Yeah.
took.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
was like, okay.
No, all's well. Yeah, and he just tells her he's just looking for Caleb to go find him, and he's like, don't you want to do something about this too? And she's like, I'm really not gonna do this. And he leaves for now. Was that the end of the episode?
It was the end of the episode,
That was a
but
very sudden ending.
no, because it wasn't, he didn't just leave. What he said that it ended on was he told her, he's like, oh, you're married to a sheriff, and that's a public official. You wouldn't want him. Didn't he tell her that?
He said something, but I wrote down, does he not realize she's married to the sheriff? And so I was like, I don't remember exactly what he said.
No, it must not have been that. He must have said something later that I was
Yeah,
mad about.
I don't know. Probably. He does a lot of things that make me mad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so while this was a good episode and it set a lot of stuff up, it did end pretty suddenly for me at least. I was like, oh, it's over
See,
now.
I didn't think so. I felt the tension of like it wasn't like a cliffhanger as in like a plot moment, like we all
Yeah,
saw it coming, but it had a good emotional buildup of like when Chick was like rising in anger and like in that moment I was like catching my breath with Norma. So I don't think it was the worst
that's fair.
ending.
I mean, it wasn't the worst. It just caught me off guard. Um, but yeah, so that was our episode. Um, yeah, we made it through. I do not have any trivia for you. I am so sorry. Nothing interesting happened.
That's okay.
Aside from like, the show. But yeah, so who do you want to punch in the face?
I want to punch in the face. Chick.
Mhm, mhm. Would
Yeah.
have been fun. But since you picked him, I picked Norman because he's starting to be manipulative.
Fair enough. Fair
He is
enough.
Norman. Yeah. Who's your MVP?
My MVP is Dr. Edwards.
I mean, of course, he is the obvious choice. He is the
Yeah,
he is the MVP of this show so far.
correct.
But since you picked him, I picked Dylan because I love Dylan and he's just so
Yeah.
sweet. He's trying so
Yeah.
hard to be like a real
And
person.
that job interview was pretty badass. So,
Yeah, great interview. So very proud of him.
yes.
Yeah, so I hope you hung in there with us even through our technical difficulties. This was a good episode. I think we said good things about it.
I
I don't
think
remember.
so. I don't
Um,
know. I'm very stressed out. I apologize, everyone.
it's fine, but we love you all and
Yeah.
we will be back. Oh, no, you can if you want to talk to us about that. If you have suggestions for Wi-Fi signal boosters. However, we need to just hang in there. If you have suggestions for just hanging in there,
Yes,
whatever you
please.
want to do, email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CECloud13.
And you can follow me everywhere at ENKAY_superstar. So
And
we're gonna end our episode as abruptly as Bates ended theirs.
and we'll see ya for Sci-Fi Sunday.
Bye.
Yeah.